Hi, friends. We don't like to think about it, but the truth is that relationships are complicated. Sometimes things go wrong. If you're watching this video, you might feel that something has changed in your relationship. Perhaps there are small details you can't explain, but they keep bothering you. When we talk about betrayal, it's not just about physical infidelity. It's about the betrayal of trust. Sometimes the most painful part isn't the action itself, but the feeling of being deceived by the people we love the most. This can leave a lasting impact, not only on your relationship, but also on your self-esteem, trust in others, and even your ability to love in the future. Why is this video important? Because I know how hard it is to live with suspicions and unspoken questions, even within yourself. But believe me, knowledge is power. If you learn to recognize these signs, you can act in time, you can understand what's happening and make the right decision to protect yourself. Today, we'll talk about 5 of the most common signs that may indicate infidelity. This video isn't meant to create paranoia, but to empower you with knowledge and strength. Remember, this is not the end of your world. It's just a step toward a new truth that you deserve to know. So, let's get started. Are you ready? Sign number 1, sudden changes in appearance. One of the first signs that may catch your attention is a sudden and noticeable change in your partner's appearance. This isn't about ordinary changes like a new hairstyle or buying a favorite outfit. It's about a sharp contrast in behavior that's hard to explain with typical reasons. For instance, if she previously didn't care much about fashion or her appearance, but suddenly starts regularly updating her wardrobe, changing hairstyles, or even spending large sums on expensive makeup or cosmetics, it could raise questions. It's even more concerning if these changes seem aimed at impressing someone else rather than you. For example, if she begins choosing clothes that don't match her usual style or dressing more attractively even for mundane tasks. You might also notice that she's spending more time exercising, going to the gym, or focusing on her physical appearance in ways that weren't part of her routine before. While this might seem like a positive change, if it coincides with other suspicious behaviors, it could be a signal. An important aspect to observe is whether she's secretive about these new habits. For example, if she avoids discussing why she decided to make these changes or dodges your questions, it might indicate hidden motives. Example, if your partner starts frequently updating her wardrobe, buying clothes you've never seen her wear, or suddenly becomes obsessed with brands that never interested her before, it could be a sign that she's trying to impress someone else. And if these changes occur alongside other signs, which we'll discuss later, it's an even stronger warning. Remember, it's important not to jump to conclusions. But if you notice these sudden changes, pay attention to what's happening and start observing more closely. Sometimes even the smallest details can matter. Sign number 2, emotional distance. Another clear and painful signal of potential trouble in a relationship is emotional distance in communication. If your conversations used to be deep, fun, and spontaneous but have now become short and dry exchanges, it could indicate that something has changed. But how can you identify this without mistaking it for stress or busyness? Changes in conversation. The first thing to note is a reduction in the time spent talking. For instance, if you used to spend hours discussing plans, sharing ideas, or simply talking about your day, and now she responds with short phrases or avoids questions, it's worth noticing. Responses like, "Everything's fine, it's nothing," or "I'm just tired" might become standard replies to your attempts at dialogue. Avoiding quality time together. Another worrying sign is avoiding time spent together. For example, instead of having dinner together, she might claim she needs to finish work or that she's too tired and wants to be alone. If these instances become a pattern, it's a reason to think twice. Avoiding certain topics. Sometimes, a person may start avoiding discussions about specific topics, especially those related to your future or shared plans. If she abruptly changes the subject when you talk about travel, projects, or serious matters, it could point to emotional withdrawal. Loss of interest in your life. One more thing to watch for is whether she still shows interest in your life. If she used to actively ask about your plans, interests, friends, or work but now seems indifferent, this too might indicate that she's emotionally distancing herself. Is it stress? It's essential to note that emotional distance doesn't always mean infidelity. It could result from stress, overwork, or emotional burnout. But there are key differences. Stress usually comes with openness. She might share her concerns or frustrations with you. Infidelity often comes with secrecy, avoiding conversations, giving vague answers, or being defensive. The key is to focus on patterns, not isolated incidents. If you notice a combination of these signs, it's worth addressing them to better understand what's happening. Stay tuned as we dive into the next signs in upcoming sections. Remember, the goal is not paranoia, but awareness and empowerment. What should you do if you notice these signs? Stay calm. If you notice signs of emotional distance, it's important not to panic or jump to conclusions. Avoid immediate accusations. Instead, create a safe space for an honest dialogue. For example, you might say, "I've noticed we've been talking less lately. I want to understand if everything's okay. It feels like you've been distant. Did I do something wrong?" Avoid aggression or suspicion. Showing aggression or suspicion can increase the emotional gap between you. If she is hiding something, your calm and open approach can become the key to uncovering the truth. A real-life example. Imagine this. Your partner used to enjoy spending time with you, watching shows, going for evening walks. But now, she frequently makes excuses to spend time apart, staying late at work, or hanging out with friends you've never met. While this might seem trivial at first, if combined with a reluctance to share her feelings or plans, it could indicate that there's something in her life she doesn't want to share with you. Emotional distance in communication. Emotional distance isn't just about losing connection. It can also reflect internal changes or an effort to avoid conflict. However, it is always a signal worth investigating. Frequent absences and excuses that are hard to verify. One of the most common red flags of a deeper issue is frequent absences or sudden, hard-to-verify excuses. If your partner is spending more time away from home, justifying it with work or meeting friends, it might signal that something is being hidden. Changes in routine. At first, you might not notice anything unusual. For instance, she says she's staying late at work or has extra responsibilities on a project. Weekend outings with friends she hasn't introduced to you become regular. But if these excuses become a pattern, it's worth taking notice. Small changes might also include declaring she needs more personal space, adding regular gym visits or hobbies that didn't interest her before, being less available on the phone or taking longer to respond to your messages. Unconvincing excuses. When you ask where she was or what she was doing, vague answers might raise suspicion, such as, "I was with friends," but she can't name specific people or circumstances. "It was a work matter," but she avoids explaining when asked for details. "I just wanted some time alone," though this isn't typical for her. Another notable detail, if her explanations change. For instance, she might say she was in one place, only to later mention a different location. These inconsistencies are often a red flag. Increased secrecy and distance. If she's becoming more secretive in her actions, it may also come with keeping her phone with her at all times, never leaving it unattended, changing the subject abruptly when you ask about her day, a lack of desire to share her plans or explain why she's spending more time away from home. How to differentiate stress from infidelity. Stress. She remains open to support and shares her feelings honestly. Infidelity. Emotional distance is often coupled with secrecy and avoidance of direct questions. If you notice these changes, avoid making immediate accusations. Instead, focus on creating an open and safe environment for conversation. Real-life example. One of my acquaintances, John, shared a story about how he initially overlooked certain behaviors in his wife until they became too obvious to ignore. She started staying late at work more frequently, justifying it with important projects. John trusted her, but one evening, during one of her late nights, a friend of his accidentally spotted her at a restaurant with another man. John decided not to jump to conclusions and began observing more closely. He noticed she would always get nervous when he asked about her day and often change her stories about where she had been. Eventually, he decided to verify her claims and discovered that not only had she not been at work on those evenings, but she also hadn't been involved in the projects she mentioned. This story highlights how important it is to pay attention to these small inconsistencies. They might point to something much bigger. What to do if you notice this sign? Don't rush to accuse. Sometimes people may have legitimate reasons for changes in their schedule or behavior, such as work stress or personal issues. Start observing. Pay attention to the consistency of her words and actions. If there are discrepancies, it's a red flag. Observe her emotional responses. If she becomes defensive or aggressive when you ask about her time, this might indicate she's hiding something. Have an open conversation. Approach the topic calmly and avoid aggression to prevent conflict. For example, say, "I've noticed some changes in your routine lately. Is everything okay? I feel like we've been spending less time together. Did I do something wrong?" Remember, frequent absences or questionable excuses don't always mean infidelity, but they are important signals you shouldn't ignore. Being attentive to details will help you better understand the situation and make informed decisions. Smartphone behavior as a red flag. In today's world, a smartphone is a gateway to many aspects of our lives, including messages, calls, photos, social media, and more. If you've noticed that your partner suddenly becomes overly cautious with her phone or social media, it could be a sign that she's hiding something significant. Sudden secretiveness. A notable change in how she handles her phone might include always keeping her phone with her, even in inconvenient situations, e.g., in the bathroom or kitchen. No longer leaving her phone unattended, and you never see the screen light up. Previously allowing you access to her phone, e.g., to answer calls or look at photos, but now refusing or hesitating to share it. Password changes. Another warning sign is the sudden change of passwords. If you previously had access to her phone or social media, and she suddenly starts hiding passwords or justifies this with new security rules, it might indicate she's keeping something from you. Pay attention to her reaction when you ask to unlock her phone. If she becomes nervous, changes the topic, or makes excuses, it could be a red flag. Social media and messaging apps. Social media often becomes a space where hidden conversations or relationships start. Watch out for constant notifications, and when you ask who's messaging her, she says it's nothing important or just a friend. Increased activity on social media, but little to no posts about you or your relationship. Using new messaging apps or social platforms she previously showed no interest in. Avoiding screen sharing. Another concerning behavior is how she handles her phone when you're around. Quickly locking the screen when you approach. Checking her phone in a way that ensures you can't see the screen. No longer leaving her phone in shared spaces, even though she used to. Conclusion. If you notice any of these behaviors, don't immediately assume the worst. Instead, remain calm and use these observations as an opportunity to have a constructive and open conversation. Example from life. Imagine you're sitting on the couch and her phone is lying nearby. In the past, if her phone rang, she might have asked you to answer it. Now, however, whenever a call comes in, she quickly grabs the phone without even glancing at the screen and leaves the room to answer it. Or if you accidentally pick up her phone, she starts to get nervous and says, "Don't touch my phone, it's private." One of my acquaintances shared a story about how his wife constantly kept her phone on Do Not Disturb mode. He noticed that messages still came through, but she would only respond to them when she left the room. Over time, he discovered that she was having conversations on a messaging app he didn't even know existed. Is this always a sign of cheating? It's important to remember that everyone has the right to privacy. A change in behavior regarding her phone doesn't always mean something bad is happening. Maybe she simply wants more privacy or is dealing with personal issues she isn't ready to share. However, if this secrecy is combined with other suspicious signs, e.g., changes in communication or frequent absences, it could signal a deeper issue worth investigating. What to do if you notice this? Don't accuse immediately. Instead, calmly bring up the topic and ask why her behavior has changed. Pay attention to details. For example, do her words align with her actions? Propose un open dialogue. Say something like, I've noticed you've been more private with your phone lately. Have I done something to upset you? Conclusion. Hiding her phone or social media activity might be a sign of wanting personal space, but it could also indicate that something is amiss in your relationship. The key is to remain observant while staying calm and avoiding hasty conclusions. Remember, attentiveness and open communication are essential to understanding the situation. Intimacy changes as a sign of trouble. Intimacy is one of the most important aspects of any relationship. Changes in this area can be natural, stemming from stress or physical exhaustion. However, if these changes seem sudden and unexplained, they may signal that something is wrong in your relationship. Intimacy reflects the emotional bond between partners, and any deviations should be carefully considered. Avoidance of intimacy. One of the clearest signs of problems could be the avoidance of physical closeness, such as avoiding moments of affection. She begins avoiding moments when you try to show tenderness, often blaming fatigue, stress, or not being in the mood. Lack of initiative. If she used to initiate intimacy and now no longer does, it could be a concerning sign. Emotional coldness during intimacy. Even if physical closeness continues, it might feel mechanical or devoid of warmth. What could it mean? If someone is emotionally or physically involved with someone else, they may lose interest in their current partner. They might feel guilty or, conversely, seek comfort in a new relationship, which can manifest in their behavior. Sudden renewal in behavior. On the other hand, an opposite sign could be a sudden surge of activity in your intimate life, such as she starts showing new, unusual initiatives that were not typical in your relationship. She suggests new techniques or approaches that seem out of context for your relationship. The frequency of intimacy increases abruptly, even though it wasn't a typical pattern before. What could this mean? This could result from emotional tension or guilt. Someone who feels their secret may be exposed might try to reassure their partner by showing excessive attention to physical closeness. Another scenario could be that she is experimenting or learning from another relationship and bringing those changes into your intimacy. How to notice these changes? Observe her behavior. Are her emotions and actions consistent? For example, if she is distant in other aspects of the relationship but suddenly initiates intimacy, this could be a signal. Consider the context. If these changes align with other suspicious signs, they might indicate that something deeper is going on. Real-life example. Imagine you're sitting on the couch, and her phone is nearby. In the past, if it rang, she might have asked you to answer it. Now, however, she quickly grabs the phone without even looking at the screen and leaves the room to answer it. Or if you pick up her phone accidentally, she gets nervous and says, "Don't touch my phone, it's private." A friend of mine, Mike, shared how his wife suddenly started avoiding intimacy, often excusing herself with fatigue from work. However, he noticed she seemed happy and full of energy when she wasn't around him. After several months, he realized she was spending more time away from home, often justifying it as work matters. Eventually, Mike discovered that his wife had developed an emotional relationship with a colleague, which began to affect their life together. Another example is John's story. His wife, on the contrary, became overly active in their intimate life all of a sudden. At first, he thought she was trying to spice things up in their relationship. But later, he noticed inconsistencies in her behavior. It turned out she was trying to cover up her guilt for having an affair. What to do if you notice these changes? Talk openly. For instance, say, "I've noticed that something has changed in our intimate life. Can you explain what's going on?" Don't accuse. Remember, these changes could stem from stress, health issues, or emotional burnout, not necessarily infidelity. Pay attention to other signs. Changes in your intimate life alone don't always indicate infidelity. However, if accompanied by other red flags, they should be taken more seriously. Conclusion: changes in intimacy are an important signal worth paying attention to. The key is not to panic, but to understand the reasons behind these changes through open communication and attentiveness to details. Your relationship deserves honesty and respect, and you have the right to know the truth. Tips: how to act if you notice these signs. Discovering signs of possible infidelity can lead to shock, pain, and anger. However, it's crucial to act rationally and thoughtfully to avoid worsening the situation. Here's a detailed plan of action to help you better understand what's happening and make the right decision. 1. Don't panic or jump to conclusions. When you notice troubling signs, it's essential to remain calm. Panic, outrage, or emotional accusations may push your partner away, even if they aren't hiding anything. What to do? Take a deep breath and evaluate the situation with a clear head. Understand that isolated signs may be caused by other factors such as stress, health issues, or work problems. Avoid conflicts until you have clear evidence or more information. 2. Observe behavior. If you have suspicions, observation can help clarify whether there's a reason for concern. What to observe? Are her words and actions consistent? For example, if she says she was at work, does it match her behavior and schedule? Pay attention to small details, such as changes in her schedule, reactions to your questions, tone of voice, etc. Notice how she interacts with her phone, social media, and other communication tools. What not to do? Avoid trying to track or follow her without her knowledge. This violates trust and may create additional problems. 3. Gather more information. Before addressing the issue or making accusations, try to gather more evidence or facts. How to do it? Observe her reactions to your questions. For example, if you ask, "How was your day?" does she respond openly or avoid the conversation? If possible, note inconsistencies in her stories or behavior. If you have mutual friends or colleagues, they may unintentionally confirm or refute her words. 4. Prepare for a calm conversation. If your observations lead you to believe something is wrong, plan a calm and respectful conversation. How to approach it? Choose a quiet time when you can both talk without distractions. Express your feelings without accusations, e.g., "I feel like something has changed between us, and I want to understand what's going on." Be prepared for her to respond defensively, but stay calm and focus on discussing your concerns openly. Final thoughts. Noticing changes in intimacy, behavior, or communication can be unsettling. However, these changes don't always mean infidelity. Often, they can be explained by stress, health issues, or emotional struggles. The key is to remain observant, approach the situation thoughtfully, and prioritize open dialogue. This will help you better understand what's happening and decide on the next steps for your relationship. Speak openly. One of the most critical steps is to have an honest conversation. However, it's essential to prepare for this dialogue. How to prepare? Choose a time when you both can talk calmly, without interruptions or haste. Organize your thoughts and clearly explain why you want to discuss the topic. Avoid accusations. Start with I statements such as, "I feel like something has changed between us, and I want to understand what's happening." What to say? Share your feelings calmly. I've noticed you've been more reserved lately. Have I done something wrong? Ask open-ended questions to give her the opportunity to explain her behavior. What to avoid? Don't turn the conversation into an interrogation. Avoid ultimatums or threats. Seek professional help. If the conversation doesn't provide clarity or the situation feels more complex, consulting a family therapist or counselor may be the right choice. Why this is important. A counselor can create a safe space to discuss your issues. You'll receive neutral advice and guidance on the next steps. How to discuss this with your partner. Explain that this isn't about blame, but about finding a solution. I think we should talk to a professional to better understand each other. Prepare yourself for any outcome. Sometimes, even after conversations or counseling, the situation may not improve. In such cases, it's important to be ready for any development. What to do? Reflect on what's important to you in a relationship and whether you're willing to continue working on it. If infidelity is confirmed, decide whether you can forgive or if it's best to move forward separately. Protect your self-esteem. Remember, no matter what happens, this doesn't define your worth as a person. Infidelity reflects issues in the partner or the relationship, not your value. Conclusion. If you notice troubling signs, the key is to act wisely and remain calm. Open communication, attentiveness to details, and a willingness to seek help can not only help you find the truth, but also guide you toward the best decision for your life. Remember, you deserve honesty and mutual respect. What to avoid in such situations? Avoid explosive arguments. When emotions run high, it's easy to lash out and blame your partner for everything without concrete evidence. This not only harms your relationship, but also gives your partner an excuse to avoid responsibility by accusing you of overreacting. Why it's harmful? Arguments often lead to bigger conflicts and distance you further from the truth. Your partner might become defensive, losing the chance for open dialogue. What to do instead? Stay calm and aim for balanced communication. Avoid making quick accusations. Rushing to accuse without clear evidence can destroy trust, even if your suspicions turn out to be unfounded. Why it's harmful? You risk appearing paranoid and triggering your partner's anger. If there's no infidelity, this can create a rift that's hard to mend. What to do instead? Work on gathering facts and observing your partner's behavior before jumping to conclusions. Avoid emotional outbursts. Frustration and anger are natural emotions in such situations, but they shouldn't drive your actions. Emotional breakdowns like shouting, crying, or rash actions only make you more vulnerable. Why it's harmful? You might say or do something you'll later regret. It gives your partner the opportunity to accuse you of overreacting. Takeaway: navigating suspicions of infidelity is challenging, but staying composed, observing carefully, and approaching the situation with empathy and rationality can make all the difference. Whether your suspicions are confirmed or not, prioritizing honest communication and respect will help you move forward in a healthy way. What to do instead? Take a pause to calm down. If you find it difficult to manage your emotions, talk to a trusted friend or a counselor to process your feelings before confronting your partner. A real story. This is the story of Jason, an ordinary man who had been married to his wife, Anna, for over 5 years. Their relationship always seemed perfect, but over the past few months, Jason noticed that Anna had become more distant. She started staying late at work more frequently, explaining it as part of a new project. At first, Jason chalked it up to regular fatigue, but one evening, he noticed her phone constantly receiving notifications, which she only checked when she was alone. Anna also started meeting up with friends Jason had never met. One day, when Anna claimed she was attending a work party, Jason decided to verify her story. He called one of her colleagues, who was surprised to hear about a corporate event since none had been scheduled. Instead of confronting Anna immediately, Jason hired a private investigator. who uncovered that Anna had been meeting another man after work. Jason chose to stay calm and gather solid evidence. When he finally presented it to Anna, she couldn't deny it. Her infidelity ended their marriage, but Jason felt confident in his approach, knowing he had acted rationally and protected his dignity. Key takeaways. This story illustrates the importance of staying level-headed and avoiding rash decisions. Jason could have escalated the situation into conflict, but instead took a cautious approach. His composure allowed him to preserve his self-respect and uncover the truth. If you notice similar signs in your relationship, remember, your dignity should always come first. You deserve honesty, respect, and a partnership built on trust rather than deceit or manipulation. Closing thoughts. Your actions in challenging situations define how you'll feel in the future. Stay calm, maintain your self-esteem, and remember that you have the right to know the truth. If this video was helpful, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell to stay updated on new content. Share your thoughts in the comments. Have you faced a similar situation? How did you handle it? I value your stories and advice and look forward to hearing from you. Thank you for watching, and remember, your happiness is in your hands.